recall your parents telling you about the time that you were born?
All right, when I was born at Lake Wawasee, near Syracuse, Indiana. And the lady that was supposed to come and help my mother, because they didn't have a lot of money and didn't expect a doctor would be able to be there. And the lady that was supposed to come didn't get there. So my dad had to help deliver me.
Oh, wow.
He had to come in from the field and help deliver me. And, oh, I remember that because I waited for him to come.
That sounds like something you do. And then, where did you move after that? I mean, your family.
When I was 13 months old, they loaded up their great big old wagon with all their stuff, and I helped them load it. You know those old-fashioned wood cook stoves? Boy, they were heavy.
Oh,
and
wow.
at 13 months, it was kind of heavy for me to lift.
What was it? Drawn by horses or what?
Oh, of course. You didn't even have cars yet.
Wow.
No cars yet.
Yeah.
No, this was a horse-drawn, one of those great big old wagon things.
Right.
So they moved to, when I was 13 months old, they moved to Marion, Michigan, on a farm. And
how old were you then?
I was 13 months.
Oh, just 13 months. So you were just a baby when you moved up there.
Well, yes, but that's why it was so hard for me to help them load all that stuff.
Oh, I see.
Then we lived on a farm there at Marion, and when I was about 5 years old, they got some land. At that time, the state owned the land, and it was all woods, trees. So you could buy it real cheap, but you had to build a log cabin and use the trees, and you had to have so much acreage under cultivation by a certain time. So, in order for them to do that, when I was 5 years old, I helped them build a log cabin.
When you were 5?
My brothers, Ernie and Bill, would help my dad go cut the trees and cut the limbs off. The horse would drag them up to where they were going to build this cabin, or building it. And then the bark had to be removed from the log for the inside. It's for the inside of the house. So my job was to take a draw shave and remove the bark. And the only way I could do that was to sit on the log and take the draw shave and pull the bark off. It's a wonder I didn't cut my knees off, but I didn't. So I helped to build that log cabin when I was 5 years old.
I think we have a picture of that too, don't we? With you and Aunt Juanita out in front of it,
Yeah, there's a picture of that log cabin.
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm standing in front of that, and at that time, at the time that picture was taken, the log cabin was about all built. And I was standing in front of it, and I was then about 6 1/2, and Juanita was about 1 1/2 years, and we have our pictures taken in front of it.
I think I remember that picture. I have that picture, actually.
My brother Bill
Yeah.
went to Cadillac and got a job when he was 14, and he bought a camera. So when he come home, he took our picture.
Isn't that something? Oh, that's nice. Aunt Thelma, now I'd like to ask you a question of, do you remember World War I? I know you were very young, but I wonder what it was like at home, being in the homeland during World War I. Just any memories you have of it, I'd like you to tell me, or tell us. But
All right. In World War I, I was only 5 when it ended. And I was 6 when it ended. It ended in 1918, I believe. So I would have been 6. And I remember during the war, I don't remember a lot about that, because at that time we wouldn't have had radios or anything where you would have been getting anything like that over a speaker type of thing. And but I do remember that when the war ended, every place, because the factories and the schools, every place used to have these great big horns that they would blow for, like there was one that would blow at noon and all. But when the war ended, all the horns blew real hard. And
wow.
My dad, who was working out in the field, come running across the field hollering, "The war is ended, the war is ended."
Oh, wow.
And that's about all I remember about World War I.
Do you remember having to do without anything? I mean, were things scarce for you, or?
There was certain things that they couldn't get, but as I say, we lived on a farm, and they had, Mother made about everything, and they had cows, so they had milk, but I never could drink milk anyway. Milk and I don't agree and never have.
Uh-oh.
But they had cows, so that she made an awful lot of stuff out of milk, and I liked that. And about as long as she had flour and the stuff she needed to bake stuff with, and they grew their vegetables and their potatoes and stuff, but of course at that time you couldn't freeze them like you do now.
Right, yeah. Did she can?
But she could can stuff. Yeah. And she used to be canning stuff. So that I don't remember that we were ever going hungry because of things that were rationed to buy.
Right. Did Grandpa and do a lot of hunting?
They did a lot of hunting, particularly rabbit hunting. We used to have rabbit a lot.
Right. Okay, now what do you remember about going to school?
About going to school?
Right.
All right. I started school at what they called the Grandad Schoolhouse. It was made of stone, all stones laid on top of each other, and cemented in, of course. And it was a one-room schoolhouse. It had grades from what we call kindergarten, they called chart class. So it had from chart class right up through the 1st grade through the 8th. It was all in that one school. And so when I got old enough to go to school, and Mother wasn't sending me, and I was getting up toward 6 years old, but it was 3 miles to the school, and the teacher came out to call, which the teachers did at that time, because all the rest of the brothers or sisters were or brothers in Virginia was in school. So when the teacher came out, she said I was old enough to start chart class. So Mother, it was in the winter time, and we had a lot of snow up there. And so when I